they brought me a pint of Ben and Jerry's, and we were running along, and I said, "Here, Jurek, eat some of this." He said, "No, no." I said, "No, you need to eat some." And I really didn't want him to eat it because I wanted all of it myself. And finally, he ate some, and he felt better then. And there's several times he'd say, "Hey, when we get to the top of that hill, can we rest a little bit?" He said, "I'm tired." And so I had to wait on Scott Jurek, and but
Mm-hmm.
he just needed to eat. He needed to eat more like me, and I need to eat more like him on a regular basis. And my goal is I will stay active the rest of my life, and as long as I'm teaching, and this next week I'll start my 44th year here at Liberty. How long you want to
Amazing.
teach? I don't know. Probably till I die, or as long as I feel like I still have something to offer.
Welcome to episode 50 of the Eat for Endurance podcast. Today we have a real legend in the endurance world, David Horton. You may already know of him if you are well versed in your ultra running history, or if you happen to have run one of the many races he has directed. But if not, David is a professor of health sciences at Liberty University, where he has taught for 43 years, and he is an ultra runner turned ultra endurance cyclist after getting one of his knees replaced. He has set many significant records, including on the Appalachian Trail back in 1991 and on the Pacific Coast Trail in 2005, in addition to running across America in 1995. His first ultra was in 1979, and he has helped spread his passion for running and endurance sports to so many of his students since then. We had a very impromptu but fun conversation that spanned a wide variety of topics. Nutrition, of course, being first and foremost, but we got into a lot of other stuff that I think you guys will enjoy listening to. Lots and lots of run talk out there, so for my running audience members, I think you'll like this one. And I say impromptu because this interview wasn't scheduled at all. It was extremely last minute. Like, I had literally just gotten home from dropping my kids at preschool, and in true David Horton fashion, when I'd asked him when he wanted to be interviewed, he said, "How about right now?" So right now it was, and we hopped on a call, and we just let the conversation flow naturally, bounced around quite a lot, so it might not be quite as chronological as some of these other athlete nutrition profiles, but I think you guys will enjoy it. So without further ado, please enjoy my conversation with ultra runner, cyclist, and professor David Horton. Legendary David Horton, welcome to the Eat for Endurance podcast. So happy to have you here.
Okay.
Let's.
I'm not sure that happy. I mean, I've been around. I've done a lot of things.
You've been around.
Yes.
You have some stories to share.
Lots of stories.
I know. And you look exactly the same, by the way. You look exactly the same as I remember you. So how has your summer been treating you so far? What have you gotten up to?
It's been good. It's been busy. I did a 1,500-mile bike race. I helped a guy run the second fastest time on the Appalachian Trail. I went to Pennsylvania. I went to Arkansas. I've been around. So not many races.
Yeah, just the usual stuff, Yeah. Who did you help on the AT?
Christian Morgan. He ended up with the second fastest time ever. The first fastest time, Carl Sabi, is unreal how fast he did it. He did it just a little bit under 42 days, 6 weeks. He averaged over 52 miles a day. Unreal. And then this guy, Christian, this summer, he did it in 44 days and 4 hours. And
wow.
So second fastest time, he averaged about 50 miles a day. So he did remarkable. He did very, very good. And it was his third triad. He was from England. And it's sort of strange that the two fastest times were a guy from Belgium, a dentist, and a guy from England, so not American.
Well, what was your time? That was back in, what is it, 1991?
Yeah. Yes, that's right. Wow, I'm impressed. 31 years ago, 52 days, 9 hours, 41 minutes. Not that I remember. I averaged just over 40 miles a day.
Yeah.
And that was fast at the time.
Yeah, well, it was a different time, and we're definitely going to dig into that for sure.
Okay.
But, I really like to start these interviews out by just exploring your nutrition roots and exploring what was young David Horton like, where you grew up, what was the food scene like in your house, what memories do you have of food and meal times when you were young?
Interesting. Okay. You ask, I'll say.
Go for it. Answer the question.
I grew up on a farm in the hills of northern Arkansas. What was
Uh-huh.
what was my food like at the time? Basically garden food, fresh food, especially in the summertime. Wintertime, not as much so, but still in the summer. And then meat. What kind of meat did I eat? Wild meat. We caught fish, killed animals, ate animals. So I was a meat eater. A vegan. No one knew what that word was, and I still don't know if very many people in Arkansas know what a vegan is. Vegetarian, they know maybe a little bit about vegetarianism, but anyway, it was a good place to grow up.
Awesome. Were you active as a young kid? I mean, it sounds like you were
Yes,
kind of running around
very.
farming, gardening or farming, shooting, hunting, whatever. What else were
Yes,
you up to?
I was very active as a young person. I grew up playing basketball, and that was the only sport we had at the school I went to initially. But then when I was a 10th grader, they started a football team. So, but I grew up playing basketball, loved hunting, working on a farm. So very, very active. And I thought very fit. But in terms of being really fit as a basketball player, at that time I wasn't fit compared to what I was later as a runner or even now. But
Yeah.
very active. My parents pushed education. Uh, both my parents just graduated from high school. In fact, I didn't have running water until I was 10 years of age. And
Oh, wow.
So where did we go to the bathroom? Well, we had an outhouse. Where did we take baths, showers? We didn't take baths and showers. And I'm not quite sure what we did in a way. There was no such thing as a shower, not inside, not outside showers. So we had uh, pans that we washed with. And I remember in the wintertime, boy, bathrooms at our house, it was cold. You went quick. You
Yeah.
and this to tell you a little bit further too. The church I went to, they had outhouse too. The church did,
hmm
and
hmm
so when you went to the bathroom, they had I think they had a two holder. It might have been a three holder. Can you imagine staying next to someone using the restroom? So I'll
Different
never forget.
time.
Yes, I'll never forget. And this tells you how, well, maybe backwards, just different that it was for me
Yeah.
growing up. When I'd stay all night with my friends, I'd say, I need to use the bathroom. Where do I do it? And they said, oh, right here. Here in the house. And to me, I thought initially using the bathroom in the house to do number one, that's okay, but to do number two in the house, no. So boy, I hated that. So what would I do? I'd turn on the water so people wouldn't hear me. And I still think about that when I'm in the house.
So
So
basically, when you were out on the AT for, however many days, 50, whatever days it was, that was just natural. You're
yeah,
outside basically
yeah,
doing your thing, not
yeah,
bathing.
yeah. It's not bathing. Yeah. For example, like just take. It didn't bother me this summer. I did the Pacific Coast bike race, and it started in Portland, Oregon, and went to Astoria, and then from Astoria took Highway 101 south down to California and got on Highway 1 and went all the way there to San Diego, so 1,500 miles. And I had one set of clothing, one top, one bottom,
hmm
and two pairs of socks, and that was all I
Yeah.
wore the whole time. Never washed them, and didn't think anything about it. No big deal. But
Yeah.
I have very little body odor compared to a lot of people. I don't use deodorant. Never have used deodorant.
Okay.
Uh,
Well, that's
do
helpful
sometimes
when you're not washing
I
yourself.
know. Do sometimes I stink? Yeah, I stink sometimes. Did my clothes smell a little bit? Yeah, a little bit, but not a lot. So I didn't think anything about that. And of course, finding places to use the restroom, I can find places to use the restroom.
What led you to start running? When did that happen?
Uh, I was in college and I was running. I was trying to play basketball there, and I ran intramurals. They had a cross country meet. I ran for my dorm, and I finished on the track, and I finished second. I couldn't believe that, out of several hundred, and the track coach was there. Do you ever think about, well, if one thing had been different, your whole life would have been different? If that track coach hadn't been there, my life would probably be different, and you wouldn't be
Mm.
talking to me. You'd be talking to somebody else. But anyway, he was there, and he said, if you ever get tired of basketball, come see me. And so I did. And so basically, I started running college a little bit, but didn't start running consistently until I was at the University of Arkansas at age 28. Started running consistently, and then ran a marathon, and then moved to Virginia and ran another marathon, and then I heard about JFK
Mm.
and
And
ended
that
up
was in the
running.
late 1970s, right? That's when you
Yes,
started?
ran my first
Uh-huh.
one in 19. Very good. You know a
I
little
do my
bit.
homework.
Yes, you should. You should do your homework. We'll see how good you are when you can ask me a question that makes me think.
Oh,
Uh, but
we'll see.
anyway, in 1979, I ran my first ultra JFK 50, and thought, hey, I like this. And so I ran
So,
maybe another 150 or 60 of those.
just 150 or 60
16 more
ultra
JFK.
marathons.
I started out as 24th place at JFK, and then the next year was 13th, and the next year was 7th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st, 2nd, 3rd. That was the order of all my JFKs. And but anyway, I
It's
didn't
an
really
awesome
like it.
race.
Yeah.
You didn't like it?
Uh, Awesome history, but no, I don't like it compared to trail races I did later. I like mountains. I like
Got it.
trails, real trails.
Yeah. Real trail.
And
Yeah.
the
Not
towpath is
the canal
boring.
path. Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
that's boring. That's boring.
So 1970s, 1980s, 1990s. I mean, when you're really doing all this stuff, obviously nutrition was a little bit different than it is now. It was perhaps a little non-existent compared to what we have these days. But
Right.
paint us,
Right.
paint us a little picture about, what's nutrition like for you back then? Especially as you got into the sport of ultra running, did your everyday diet change? And also how you fueled those runs.
Mm,
And maybe we
maybe
can
I don't
start more like
remember.
the early ones versus we'll take the AT and all of that separately, but just kind of thinking back to like your JFK 50s and other things as you were getting into it. Like what did that look like for you?
JFK 50. I'd talked to a guy who had written a book about ultra running, and he had
Hmm.
run lots of ultras, and it was called Ultra Marathon: The Next Challenge, and it was the early Bible of about ultra running. And I said, "Well, what do you drink?" He said, "I drink tea." I said, "Tea?" I said, "What do you put in it?" He said, "Heavily sugared tea." I said, "How much sugar you put in it?" He said, 2 pounds. So at home, I said, 2 pounds, and how much fluid? He said, a gallon. So at home, I made a gallon of tea and put 2 pounds of sugar in there and took a sip of it and spit it out. It was horrendous. It was sickening sweet. And so I thought, this is not good. But I'm going to take it to the race because he said this is what he uses. And so I took it to the race. And as you know, JFK, you have 3 miles of pavement, then 13 miles of Appalachian Trail, then you get off on the
Yep.
towpath.
Yep.
Well, I got off on the towpath and I said, hey, give me some of that tea. And I took a drink of that tea and thought, pretty good. That ain't too bad at all. And then the next time I saw them, they gave me some more of the tea and I drank it. This is real good. And so I kept drinking the tea. And then finally, at about 40 miles, my stomach started tearing up. And it's just too much
Yeah.
sugar, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, started with, and then later I saw him. I said, hey, you still drink that stuff? He said, well, I found out that was too much. I said, duh. I said, how much do you do now? He said, well, I put a pound of sugar in tea. So that was 1979, drinking heavily sugared tea. Well, it worked. It got me through. Would I've done better if I'd had some of the drinks we have today? Possibly, but it worked well enough then.
Did
Food
they have aid
items,
stations back there? Like did they ever have
yeah,
aid stations and stuff? No.
yeah, there were aid stations, but the aid stations didn't have that much. They didn't have
Yeah.
a wide variety of food, and uh, I'm not sure what I ate. Uh, I'm not sure what I ate back then. I don't know. In terms of eating, I try to eat relatively healthy most of the time, except when I'm running or biking long races. And of
Hmm.
course, then it's a little bit different. You got to think about getting calories, getting energy. How can your stomach absorb it? Things like that.
Hmm.
So that was the dark ages. The shoes, they were probably okay. They weren't great. The trail shoes of today is probably much better. The gels are much better. The drinks are probably better, but I still think we're in the dark ages with respect to eating and performance. I think in the future we'll find some things
Really?
that you can eat
Why do you think
that'll
that?
have. I just think it's such a guesswork thing. I don't think there's been enough scientific research allowed to determine what it really is the best mixture of things to eat. Uh, don't know. I think we have a long ways to go still yet.
Yeah. But would you agree that we're at least better than we were
Yes.
back when you were in your earlier racing days?
Yeah. Yes. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and what about like kind of the everyday eating? Was that pretty much the same as always? Did you start to change that when you were becoming more competitive and racing more frequently?
Uh, yes. Basically, you want to control your weight. I always try to keep my weight down. I try to watch what I eat. I try not to eat as many calories, not as much saturated fat. Thinking health wise, uh, I thought about then. I think about that now, and I think that does have an impact. What does have an impact though is where you exercise. Exercise is a lot more important, I think, than nutrition. I think number one factor in terms of success for performance is heredity, training, psychic, rest, and then I think nutrition is down below all those other things. Uh, it's what you got.
I disagree as a dietitian, but I
I know.
respect your
I know.
opinion.
Yeah, I know. You check the Kenyans out. Doesn't matter how the Kenyans eat; they're going to run fast.
Yeah,
Even
that
if
is
they eat
true.
bad, they're going to run fast.
Yeah,
So,
no.
yeah.
I wouldn't put
It,
nutrition
it,
on the bottom, but I do agree that obviously your genes play a huge, huge role and are,
oh yeah,
somewhere near the top, of course.
yeah, and it's psychic
Mhm.
between the ears.
Oh, absolutely.
Between the ears.
And
It's
that's something you train as much as anything, but you
oh
are,
yes,
of course, somewhat born with a temperament, and
yeah.
a certain personality type. Like, as
Well,
you've talked about before, that's
oh
just
yeah,
part of your genetic makeup, that
yeah,
you got to do these things, right?
yes. I've got. That's right. You said it. You remembered that, huh? I've got to
Hmm.
do things. I've got to do things. I don't. I get to do things. I want to do things, but I've got to do things. It's like now I am a little bit pressed in a way, tiny bit, because I don't know for sure what I'm going to do next summer uh,
Mm.
or my next big event. Uh, I like to know. I like to know what am I training for. And sometimes people say, "Well, do you have a race coming up?" I said, "No." What are you training for? Well, I'm training for life, but I'm training so that I can be in decent enough shape that I think people have valleys, peaks and valleys. I think that's the way life should be and your training should be. You can't train hard all the time and you can't goof off all the time. And I think
Yeah.
that's why runners are much better today than they used to be because I think as time goes on, people are training year round. That's athletes are better today. That's why some of these pro players are playing a lot longer, while they're running a lot longer, but still aging catches up with you, and it's caught up with me. Uh, I hate it. Aging sucks. And
Well, you know what? Let's just talk about that now. I was going to talk about that later, but we may as well talk about it now, right? I mean, you've had some major
yeah.
surgeries. You had heart surgery. You had what? Both knees replaced,
Just
and
one.
oh, just one. Okay, I thought it was both. Okay, I'm wrong there. All right, but you did have a pretty major heart surgery. When were these surgeries? Give us a timeline here.
Okay. Uh, 10 years ago, I had 7-way bypass, open heart surgery.
Oh wow, yeah.
7-way. Actually, I call it 7.5 because my friend had 7, and I wanted to beat him. And they did put one bypass in, and they had to take it out because they didn't like it. So I'd say 7.5. It's the
You
most
got
I've
to
ever
win at
heard.
everything, huh?
Oh yes, yes. I am a competitive person. I just I've always been competitive. I want to compete. I want to beat people. Uh, it's like my race this summer. You can say, "Well, how did you do?" I said, "Well, I can tell you one way how it sounds like I did good, and I can tell you another way how it sounds like I didn't do so good. I didn't do. I can tell you like I did bad. I'm said when I finished last. I finished last. There was 27 starters and 15 finishers, and I finished 15th. Um, but I beat the other 12, I guess, as well. Uh,
And you
But anyway,
finished.
yeah, I'm a competitive person. I've also let's see, so 10 years ago I had the heart surgery. I've had no problems with it. My blood values are really good now. That's what drugs will do for you. Not eating. I haven't changed my eating at all, but I take
Really?
a torb.
Okay.
Yeah, I take torvastatin, and my HDL is good. My LDL is low. My ratio is good. My triglycerides are low. Basically, that relates to where the exercise. So, and I also have ulcerative colitis. I've had that for
Oh.
38 years. So every other
Oh,
year
wow.
I get to get a colonoscopy.
Oh,
Uh,
geez. But that,
if
I
you're
mean,
not,
that must have a huge, that must have played a huge role in your racing and your ability to kind of fuel yourself, no? If you had a
I
flare
have,
up, that is.
yeah, I've never had a flare up during an event.
Oh, thank
But,
goodness.
yes, but you have to control the GI tract, and that's a
Mm.
real issue with respect to running long distances. There's been some problems with it. I tend to stay borderline anemic. My hemoglobin level is usually
Oh.
11.5, 12.2, and of course males are supposed to be 14 to 18. So would I like to have more hemoglobin? Would I like to take some kind of drugs to help that? Yes, but I don't. Because if I ever took it, I'd function better and I'd feel better. I have had to go on prednisone 2 or 3
Mm.
times. When I went on
Yeah.
prednisone, whoa, I felt good, but it's not a good drug. So yes, I've had
Does,
some issues.
mhm. Does the ulcerative colitis, has that presented, like, I mean, because some of the events you're doing are very long, so it's not like a day or a weekend. I mean, these are
Yeah,
weeks and weeks,
yeah,
right? So,
yeah.
and even now, has it interrupted training,
No,
or has it changed
no,
the types of things you've had to eat? No, it hasn't. Okay, so that's good.
no,
That's
no. Oh,
that's
I'm
wonderful,
I'm
because some
fortunate.
people have really bad cases
Oh,
of bowel disease. You know, that's
yeah,
a serious thing. Okay,
yeah.
I wasn't aware of that.
So
And
yeah,
what? Hmm.
it's not been a bad thing for me. I
Okay.
just hate to get a colonoscopy, and I'm probably due one now.
Ugh,
Ain't
yeah.
no fun. Have you had
No,
one
my
yet? You
husband
probably
has.
haven't.
I have it. My husband has his first one coming up this fall, and he is not looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I'm already
yeah.
dreading my first one. What it's at, I think age 45. I want to say you get
Yes,
your
it's
first one.
45.
So
It
I
used to be
have.
50. Now they've lowered it to
Yeah.
45.
So I have a little over four more years. Thank goodness.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
um, but and your knee surgery was when? When did that happen?
2012.
Okay, and that was the thing
Yeah.
that kind of ended your running, correct?
Yep, that was it. And so why did I get knee? Why did I have? Why did I have to have heart surgery? When the amount that I exercise? Why would I have to have knee replacement? I think it's too much running on pavement. For the first 20 or 30 years of my ultra running career, there's a lot more pavement, and then as
Mm-hmm.
I got older, I did more and more trail races.
Yeah.
Uh, so just running on pavement, I think that's really bad for you. Uh, and also maybe some of the shoes and the amount that I ran. My total lifetime mileage is over 112,000, I think it is. So a lot of
Wow.
miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of miles.
Yeah. And you've biked quite a few as well.
I'd say probably, I don't know. I haven't kept track of my mileage in biking like I did in running. I sort of wish I had because it would be sort of amazing. I've had a 1,000 mile race, a 4,000 mile race. I just did the
Yeah.
1,500 mile race.
I've
Anyway,
heard you say you've done 50 to 60,000 miles,
at least, yeah, at least, yeah.
somewhere around there.
Yeah. Mhm.
um, so yes, I mean, I guess my question surrounding these kind of medical issues or, big life events was really, I mean, it sounds like there's no long-term nutrition change that occurred. It was really
No,
mostly that, you obviously went on certain medications, it's managed, and that you transitioned from running to cycling. So you're now an
yes,
endurance cyclist, and that's primarily
yes,
what you do, correct? Are you
yes.
doing that? How often are you doing it? Like,
Uh,
how,
well, just 6 times a week, maybe sometimes
just
seven.
6 times.
Yeah.
That's it.
I've got to exercise. I
Oh yeah,
teach
I hear you.
exercise science. I teach in, the exercise science major. So I feel like I have to do something. I have to. I want to. I will. Um so yes, do I like cycling as much as running? No. There's something about running that you don't get with respect to cycling. But cycling's good. Flying down a hill is fun. The equipment, I hate that. Running, you just have to have, decent pair of shoes, and it doesn't even have to be decent. You can run. But cycling equipment does matter.
Yeah.
And it's expensive, and keeping it going. Like this summer, when I did that race, I had a problem with the gear shift. It didn't change. I had to, one day it was cut down to 48 miles, and then another day I had a blowout. And when you blow out a tire, and I couldn't get the tire off, I finally got it fixed, but that had 2 short days. But I still averaged 110 miles a day, so that's not too bad. And it's self-supported, the races that I do in the bike race. The Trans Am from Astoria, Oregon to Yorktown, Virginia, 4,100 miles. I did that 5 years ago, I think it was. Self-supported. So you have to find your food. You got to take care of your equipment. You got to find where you're going to eat, sleep, and of course, eating in terms of performance is getting the calories. And of course, what do you want to eat more of? Fat. Because fat has, for each gram of fat, you have 9 calories, so you get a lot more calories there. So what do I like to eat the most? What did I eat the most? What did I desire the most in my long bike race? What food do you think it is?
Ooh, I don't know.
And it went down
I have
good
no idea.
every single time I had it. Every time I had it. Ice cream.
Yeah, ice cream.
Ice cream.
Now the question though, were you? So I recently had Lael Wilcox on my show, who I'm sure you know about her, right? She is such a beast of an athlete. She's amazing.
She's the best endurance. She's the best female bikepacker in the world. And there's not
she's
many
incredible.
men that are better than her. Yes.
She was incredible. We had an amazing conversation. And but what she does with ice cream is she lets it melt and then she drinks it. So is that how you also eat your ice cream? Or do you eat it when it's cold?
I like it when it's cold, but why would she do that? I know why she did that, because she could get it down quick.
And she can drink it while she rides because she doesn't want to stop.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I know. It's no, I like to eat it when it's not melted, but I understand that completely. That's why I like milkshakes better than ice cream. Milkshakes, because they're liquid and you can get those down quick. 4, 5, 6, 700 calories quick. But she'd melt hers. I understand. Makes sense.
She also drinks water out of like really dodgy places without treating it, which is crazy.
But she didn't do that unless she had to. Isn't that right?
I think she said she's done it when she even had equipment and just didn't want to bother with it. And she's like, I've never gotten sick. She's a beast. She is amazing. Utter respect for her. But we had some good nutrition stories for sure. Well, other than ice cream, share what's on the bike for you. What are you reaching for other than the ice cream? Do you have any sports products, or is it mostly real food?
Yes, anything and everything. Basically, I have sports products on there. I like drinking. I can't think of the name of it right now. My races. That's pitiful.
72 years old, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm losing brain cells.
Too much pavement.
Yeah, too much pavement. Oh, yeah.
Killing those brain cells, too.
Hey, what's your goal in life? Let me tell you what my goal in life is. My goal in life, and I tell my students, is on the day I die, that I hope that morning I used to say a good run. Now I say I hope on the day I die, I hope that morning I had a good bike ride. Now, what does that mean? What does that mean? Why would I say that?
Because that is what you want to do until your last breath, essentially. It's that significant to you.
Quality of life.
Yeah.
Exercise will not necessarily make you live longer, but it'll make you live better. Your quality
100%.
of life will be better. No doubt about it. So anyway, that's what I want to do. I want to exercise the rest of my life. Hope I had a good workout that morning. I wish they could tell me ahead of time so I could get all my buddies to go with me and go have a good ride. Used to, I'd say, go have a good run.
Sure.
So
you're drinking something, name unknown.
Yeah, Tailwind.
I love Tailwind. They sponsor your race. That's awesome. Or your races. Okay.
Yes, they do. I directed Hellgate 100K and Promiseland 50K. I've directed over 100 ultras too.
Oh
But
yes, I do
anyway,
know that. And they
what do I
are.
have
Does
on?
Tailwind go? Do you use Tailwind there as well? Is that the kind of fluid?
Yes, yes,
Nice.
yes. That's what we
Okay.
use. Really good.
Awesome.
Um, I'll have candy bars. I'll have energy bars. Which ones? Which one has more energy? Uh, Snickers bar or Power bar or Cliff bar? Which one has more energy?
Probably Snickers. If you're talking about
If
pure
it has,
calories, I don't know. I
yeah,
guess. Yeah.
if it has more
Yeah.
calories, it has more energy. But
Yeah.
health-wise, there's no doubt about it. Which one's healthier for you?
Yeah.
What's sort of interesting with respect to that. Before I did the Pacific Crest Trail, in 2005.
Hmm.
That spring, in one of my classes that I teach, I did the blood analysis and analyzed all my blood variables. And then that summer, of course, I'm eating lots of ice cream, lots of Ben and Jerry's, and lots of stuff like that for
Yeah.
dessert. And then I checked it in the fall, and it's exactly the same. My blood
Hmm.
values were exactly the same. But I did have to go to the dentist and have two root canals and
Ooh.
5 or 6 fillings. So you can see,
Yikes.
is too much sugar bad for you? Yes.
Yes.
It's bad for your teeth, not bad for your performance.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. For sure. Any salty things? I hear a lot of sweet stuff
oh
going on.
yes, yes, salty things too. Potato chips, crackers, things like that.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything magical. If there is, I'd like to know what it is. I
So
wish
would
there was
I.
something you could do that has a lot more. I know that's right. It has a lot more calories, and this knowing what the number of calories that you really need is really hard to determine. There's a guy, professor at Brigham Young University, just a few years ago that did the Tour Divide. And the Tour Divide, I don't know if you're familiar with that. Well, Leo
Hmm.
has
Yeah.
done that
Yeah.
several times.
Yep.
The mountain bike race from Banff, Canada to Antelope Wells, New Mexico, 2,700 miles. He did that, and he finished in 17 days. And they did lots of analysis of him, and they figured out that he averaged burning a little over 10,000 calories a day, but he took in for the 17 days, he took in 6,000 calories. So I don't think we need to find out more stuff like that with respect to running 50Ks, 100 milers, 50 milers. How many calories do you really need? So he was short 4,000 calories a day, and he did that for 16 or 17 days straight.
Well, I think the more important question is how many calories can you absorb and tolerate, right? Because you can say I need X number of calories, and especially with running, right? Because cycling is much
Yeah.
easier to eat, but running,
Yes.
as you well know, there's only
Oh,
so much you can take in without making yourself sick. So it really is just getting yourself through whatever event you're doing, and obviously the longer ones, it's more difficult and you tap into those stores and you lose weight and everything. I mean, how much weight did you lose doing the AT or the PCT? Did you
probably
lose any
none.
weight?
Probably
Really?
none. Yeah.
Oh,
I,
amazing. Okay.
I probably weighed about the same as I did starting out because I was crude. So it was eating as much as I could. What
Mm.
scared me always, especially before the first one, but I knew later after some of the others, is that, oh God, what am I going to do when this is over with? If I'm eating like this now, what's going to happen when it's over with? Well, you're eating, it stops. The, the appetite cuts off.
Mm.
Basically, when you're, the fourth, fifth, sixth day, that's when you start getting in shape and you start sleeping better. And I also think you start digesting things better. I think I said earlier, I think the area of nutrition is an area that we're still in the dark ages. I think maybe in the future we'll develop some foods and things that we know we can eat that we can digest. Uh, Eating food, digesting food is a hard thing. The greater the intensity, the greater the amount of difficulty we're going to have with digesting that food. Uh, it's like you're doing a 50K Saturday. It's like, can you eat only gels? Could you get bound gels? Could you eat bound fluids? Or do you need to eat solid food? And I think
And that's such an individual thing, right? I mean,
I know.
some people, it's short enough that you could get by on gels, but I mean, I personally am going to eat some solid food because I like the taste and I have trained my stomach to eat solid foods. But it's, again, one of those things that you ask 10 different runners what they're going to do and you're going to get 10 different answers, right? Based on
Exactly.
what they've trained for. Which,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole purpose of my show. It's really, when I interview people, it's showing how differently everybody fuels themselves, right? There is no one size fits all. There's so many different things.
Okay.
We know certain things, but nutrition is a very young science, and we have certain guidelines and principles we follow and recommend, et cetera. And there's certain research out there that shows things, but at the end of the day, it's also down to you to figure out what works for you. And you can continue to experiment with that. So that's the beautiful thing about nutrition, and that's what's so fun about interviewing people is just seeing all the different things people do, right? I mean, gosh, sweetened tea. That's I mean, hey, that could still work. You got caffeine, you got fluid, you got the sugar.
Right. Yep, that's
right.
He was way ahead of his time, you know.
There you go. There you go. I mean, people are downing Coke. It's not that different, right? Flat Coke, how is it really different? It's caffeine, it's sugar. You know?
Yeah.
Fluid? Yeah. There you go.
Well, what I drink there, no. I drink Mountain Dew.
Mountain Dew. Okay.
What I'd do is I'd fill up a bottle, like in biking. The races I've done, I'll fill it up completely full of ice, and then fill it full of Mountain Dew on top of it. And so you'll have cold Mountain Dew the whole time. And save that for the second half of the race, or the second half of the day. Usually in the mornings I'd be okay, but then in the afternoons you need to pick me up. So think about that with respect to your races. In early stages, don't drink much caffeine. In later stages, drink more caffeine. And of course, if you are not a coffee drinker, caffeine may work better. Or if you're a coffee drinker and then you cut off caffeine for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then take it race day, you'll notice a big difference. And so that's what I always like to get runners to do is cut off caffeine for a week at least before a race so that the caffeine will work better, and it will work better.
Yeah. Okay, let's rewind for a second. I want to kind of go into, spend a little time on your record on the AT, and of course you ran across America and the PCT, and this of course spans quite a number of years. I think it's like 14 years that you did these things, right? But let's break it down a little bit because it was over such a long period of time. I'm sure there were some shifts in your nutrition and perhaps your approach, and maybe not, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm curious kind of, maybe you have some nutrition stories or you can share the types of things that you were doing. I'm really amazed that you didn't lose any weight. That's fantastic. I think about Scott Jurek when he did the AT. I mean, he was like skeletal at the end. And of course, he's vegan. It's a whole different thing. And I know you have your thoughts on that. And I think you even supported him. I vaguely remember you saying that you made him eat something that was not vegan.
Yes.
Was it ice cream?
Yes.
But yeah, I want to hear a little bit more detail about the nutrition on your own journeys. If you remember.
I know it.
It was a while ago.
Yes, it has. You've always got to think about what can you eat, what can you put down. And during the day, it's going to be harder. It's harder to put down food. It's harder to digest food. And the running is a different story than the biking. Biking is just, I don't think I ever have thrown up on a bike race, a long bike race, or even a hard bike race. You just don't do it. But in running, the greater the intensity, the greater the reduction in blood flow to the stomach. And the higher the sugar content, the less absorption from the stomach. So it's always a critical thing. What can you eat? What can you put down? But basically, I just try to finish the day. You can eat breakfast, and then after starting, then I didn't try to eat too much during the day, except drinking. And drinking is, I think, the better way of getting it. One of the things I have tried, and it's worked relatively well in running, would be Ensure Plus, liquid meals, or things like that. And I think they work pretty good, but not great. I still think it's just a hard thing.
Were you carrying stuff with you? Were you like when you're out there? Okay. Like what kind of stuff would you carry with you?
You mean biking?
No. When you were doing like the AT or you running across America, like in between seeing your crew or whatever, what would you be carrying on your body?
Not much, the least amount possible, enough to get the next aid station, next road crossing. You're always thinking in terms of how far is it? how much will I need, and then you underestimate and you hit the wall. It's sort of like I always in biking or running, I'd always try to think about when can I stop eating? When can I just not eat, not force myself to eat? And then sometimes I'd make a mistake and stop a little too soon and end up in trouble. Blood sugar level drop. And there's no, food tastes so good when you finish. So that's always a neat thing to finish up so you get the food. But I don't eat anything and everything, chips, candy
So real food.
bars. Yeah, real food. I think real food a lot of times goes down better. One of the things that I've eaten quite or drank quite often that you might not think about is V8 juice. Sometimes V8
Very
juice
salty.
is fan.
Yeah,
Oh,
very
it's
salty.
fantastic. One of the things I've used at Hardrock, I finished that 5 times, and I often think it's hard to eat out there at high elevation, and when
Yeah,
you're running
definitely.
really fast. And so, but the one thing I could always take in was soup. So I'd have soup at the aid stations. I know that's not getting many calories, but it's getting salt, and salt makes you thirsty, and if you're thirsty, you drink more, and that's a good thing. So soup is a good thing that I use on a regular basis, uh,
Hmm.
and like that.
Yeah,
But
totally.
I don't. Eating and drinking
Any,
is hard.
it is
It's hard.
hard. It is
It's
hard,
hard.
especially when you're exercising and even when you're
Oh
not.
no.
Sometimes it's
Yeah, exactly. You want
hard.
to, and like I said, you always look forward to that time when you can eat slowly. You can drink slowly. If you're thirsty, you can drink. If you're hungry, you eat. If you're not, you don't. But you can't do that with exercising,
Nope.
cycling or
Nope.
running. You have to eat and drink. And
What's kind of like the hardest? Did you have any really tough moments where your stomach was going nuts, or you just like had some sort of nutrition disaster? Anything kind of stick out? Any good nutrition stories for me in all of your many, many, many years of racing?
uh, I've had one of the problems you have with ulcerative colitis is you have blood and stool. And
Mm,
I've had a few flare-ups during events. One of them, Barkley, and then one of them when I did Trans Am, I had a little bit of flare-up, and you lose blood. That's not a
yeah.
good thing. That's
No.
not a good thing. So I guess I've not had that many disasters. It's time I thought they were disasters, but I've been able to get through most of the races that I participated in.
Do you have a pretty strong stomach?
Nope,
No.
nope, nope.
Nope. Okay.
I don't.
When did you finish
I
Barkley? Or what year was that?
2002 at
Wow.
age 52.
Oh
Age
my
55, I
goodness.
did the PCT. Um,
Amazing.
yeah, it is. It is the most difficult race to finish. I mean,
Yeah.
what blows my mind right now is a lot of great ladies have tried bark in recent years. And what's the name of the lady who's just won
Courtney
Western State?
Dauwalter, Maggie
Yeah,
Gooderall. Who
yeah.
else?
Courtney,
Yeah,
Courtney,
Courtney.
and
Yeah.
Maggie.
I've
They haven't
interviewed
even
them
finished.
both. They're both amazing.
They, and they haven't even finished 2 laps, and it's 5 laps.
Yeah,
So
it's a hard
it
race.
blows my mind that it's eating her lunch. Courtney is the best in the world,
Mm-hmm.
and she hadn't got close. Maggie hadn't got close. No woman has really gotten close at all. Uh, but I don't know. I'm not quite sure why that's the
Mm.
case for her. But she's
Yeah.
good. She's,
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so you've been also supporting a lot of people as both race director and just on their own journeys, whether it's records or other things. Um, any fun
sure.
stories from that? I mean, Hellgate is obviously, I've heard about that race, and you are still directing that one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Would
Are
you
you
like to
directing
run?
anything else right now? Would I like to run it? Oh
Fine.
my God, no.
Fine. 50K. Why not?
Oh, I don't know. I am not a winter person. I moved away from the winter. Does it start at like 12:01 in the winter or something crazy? Uh,
1, December 10th.
ooh, yeah. Let me get through my warm 50K first. We'll
Okay.
see. I'll let you
Okay.
know. I'll let you know if I'm interested. Not there yet, but let's hear some stories. I know you have probably seen some things. Any fun nutrition related things that you can share with us, whether it's supporting somebody or as race director, anything fun that you can share, interesting,
Well,
or
Jurek
maybe
is
just
the
some
one.
other stories. Yeah, talk to me about Jurek. Let's do it.
Jurek's the interesting one there. Being a vegan and super strict vegan, he's helping him on his Appalachian Trail trip. I saw him down in Georgia when he was having shin splints, and it was amazing how bad a shape he was in. He thought, "Well, I'm through." I thought, "No, you're not through. You can you can work through shin splints. You can." Uh, and he did. But when I saw him up in New Hampshire, it was amazing how pitiful he looked. As you said, how old he looked, how skinny he was. He was a strict vegan, so the problem with being a vegan is you have to eat a large volume of food, get the number of calories, and he wasn't getting as many calories as he needed. And of course, being a vegan too, if you're eating a large volume of food, and vegan food is high in fiber, well, you know what high in fiber does,
Yeah.
and he carried out all of his tissue and toilet paper too. He was pitiful looking, and he was just short on energy. Of course, he wasn't used to the trails either. He hadn't trained much on the East Coast trails, and they're different than, as you well know, than the West Coast trails. West Coast trails
Yeah.
are sissy trails compared to the East Coast trails. I mean, the
I've run
PCT,
both and I can concur. I agree.
that's right. The PCT compared to the AT, the AT is just much harder. The footing is
Yeah.
much worse. PCT, there's some nice footing. I mean, all of Oregon and a lot of Washington and a fair amount of California is nice and smooth and just
Yep.
ideal footing, you know. Not
Hmm.
not the AT. The AT is not ideal footing. So um, he's just emaciated looking. He wasn't getting enough calories. I know one time he was helping me on the PCT, and I was up in Washington, and they brought me a pint of Ben and Jerry's, and we were running along, and I said, "Here, Jurek, eat some of this." He said, "No, no." I said, "No, you need to eat some. Eat some." And I really didn't want him to eat it because I wanted all of it myself. And finally, he ate some, and he felt better then. In fact, there's a few times when he has helped me in Washington, and it's so much harder for the person helping someone who's doing it. The person who's doing it, much easier for them. And there's several times he'd say, "Hey, we get to the top of that hill. Can we rest a little bit?" He said, "I'm tired." And so I had to wait on Scott Jurek, and that's pretty amazing. That's when he was at the height, winning 7 Western States in a row. But
Hmm.
he just needed to eat. He needed to eat more like me, and I need to eat more like him on a regular basis. We both be now during a race. We need to eat
Meeting
like,
somewhere in the middle. Yeah.
yeah, that's right. During a race, it'd be better if we ate the meat stuff. Uh,
Yeah.
Interesting stories. Even though I had ulcerative colitis, you can deal with that in racing across America. Uh, After I got through the last 6 weeks, 42 days, it took me 64 days. It was a stage race. It took me 64 days. And if I took vegetable fiber, and that made me regular. And the last time had to use the bathroom during the day was in a town outside Avon, Colorado. And then the rest of the time, never did I have to stop during the day to use the bathroom. 6 weeks, 42 days, which is pretty amazing. So you can control your use of the bathroom somewhat with fiber.
Yeah. Got it. Um, all right. I've had Marshall Ulrich on. I've had Lisa Smith Batchin. Also, they were of course at the same conference. And
Yep.
for everyone who's been in their sports or multiple sports for a long time, I always ask this question. So this is a great one for you. What tips do you have for my listeners in terms of remaining physically active and healthy and strong, and especially endurance sports, as you age? And of course, for you, you had to transition from running to cycling, but you are still in the game. Just it's this question of longevity. And I know that part of it is just your being, like that is just who you are, right? But maybe for anyone else who maybe they don't have quite a strong drive as you. How do you, or maybe they do and their body's kind of failing them. I don't know, any tips for just longevity in sport and also mentally, because that's a huge piece of it too.
Oh, that's a big, tough question.
I know, sorry. You wanted me to make you think.
Yeah, okay, you did good then. You made me think. Um, I think you've got to think about long term. What's your goal? What's the value of exercise to you? I know I still have things to offer, even though I can't run, even though I don't run. Do I wish I could still run? Yes. If I bike more, would I been running longer? And the answer is yes. But if I had to do over again, would I bike less? I mean, bike more and run less? No. If I had to do over again, I'd run more. But I'd run more on trail. But I think you just have to think about long term. What do you like in life? Uh, how do you feel? How do you feel good? You have energy. You have energy for life. Uh, and people who act old or people who are not active, um, you got to find something that you can do that you enjoy, that you find reward out of. And I think you can think about swimming. Although I'm not thinking about swimming, I hope the Lord never makes me swim because
I'm with you there.
I hate swimming and I swim poorly. I've done a few triathlons, but really swim poorly. So I think you just got to keep in mind that you'd like to maintain a good quality of life. You'd like to maintain your weight. You'd like to have energy. Uh, you think about people who you know are old. Are they chronologically old or are they physiologically old? And they often say you're only as old as you feel. No, that's not the correct term. The correct term is you're only as old as you function. How do you function? Do you still function well, or not function well? And my goal is I will stay active the rest of my life, and as long as I'm teaching, and this next week I'll start my 44th year here at Liberty.
Wow,
How long I'm going to
amazing.
teach, I don't know. Probably till I die, or as long as I feel like I still have something to offer. I still feel like I do. So since that'll be my 44th year, I've either got to teach maybe 2 more years or 7 more years to get 50, or I don't have any plans. So you have to think about quality of life. Exercise gives you a good quality of life. You don't have to compete. Uh, I don't compete very often now. It's usually just once or twice a year, but it's long stuff. I don't do short stuff. Why do I not do short stuff? Well, short bike races are 25 miles or 50 miles. They're power. And how much power do I have? Not much. Mainly because as you get, the sad thing is, uh, what you lose as you get older is your maximum heart rate, and which means you lose cardiac output, and your maximum heart rate declines after about age 40. After about age 40, it
Thanks
starts
for that.
climbing up 1 beat per year. So theoretically, right now, yours is still up around 180, whereas mine, 70 from 220. That means 150. But really, my maximum heart rate is about 160, 165. But yours is 180. Yours can beat a
Mm.
lot more than mine, and that's a major reason why people can't function as well when they're getting older because their cardiac output is decreased. But do I still enjoy what I do? And the answer is yes. Do I look forward to going out Saturday morning? Yes, especially if this cool front moves in here and it's not so stinking hot and humid. Uh, and how does it feel to be old? Well, you go out when it's hot and humid and exercise and see how that feels. That's what aging is going to be. Stay active. Uh, Also, the people you surround, your friends. What kind of friends do you have? If your friends smoke, drink, are fat, obese, don't eat healthy, then maybe that's what you'll do too. So you got to think about what kind of friends you have.
Are you normally training alone or are you training with friends? Like when you're doing longer bike rides?
Now, most of the time, I do it alone. Why do I do it alone? Because I want to go out early.
Ah,
I go out real early. I start early. Saturday morning, I'll probably get up about 3:15 and start about 4 a.m. How many people
oh
like to
wow,
go
that's
out at
early.
4 a.m. Saturday morning? And I have lights on my bike, and
Uh-huh.
flashing lights to blinking lights. and so it'll be decently cool then. So I'll try to finish by 70, 80, 90 before noon.
And
And that's
what does that look like on the food front? Are you eating before you go? What are you taking with you on the bike? What are you eating after?
uh, yes and yes. Before I go, I'll probably have a waffle, maybe skim milk, uh, maybe a little cereal, and then during I'll stop and eat a couple places. Maybe towards the end, if I can find a milkshake that's handy, I'll get me a milkshake. And then afterwards, that's when I like to go eat out with my wife
Nice.
because food tastes so.
Oh yeah.
It's sort of like water. Water tastes so good when you really need it. Cold water does, and food tastes so good. Uh, and there's nothing like seeing you see hikers after on the Appalachian Trail, Pacific Crest Trail, if they've been on 5 or 6 weeks, and then see them eat. Oh, they love food. Because food tastes good because they need food. Food is energy,
Yeah.
and that's one of the joys I have from exercising is that enjoy eating, enjoy drinking cold water, cold fluid.
Yeah. Has your wife ever come out riding or doing anything with you? I know she
No,
mostly doesn't do what you do. Okay.
no, she does not, and she still doesn't understand me. I mean, we've been married for 51 years. She doesn't understand me. Uh,
Yeah.
why do you have to do that? Why do you feel a need to? I just do. I just do.
Yeah. What
I
about any of your
teach her.
kids? Because you have kids and grandkids
Uh,
and everything. Anyone else
I
active
have
in your
kids.
family?
Yeah, they are, but not like me.
Mm.
Uh, my son ran some in high school and college, and doesn't run now. My daughter has never run, but she exercises now. She's a teacher, and I have a grandson that's 18 now. He ran high school cross country, but he's not a runner. A runner is someone who's going to run. He raced. He was an athlete in high school, but he's not a
Yeah.
runner. There's a difference
Yeah.
between a runner and a racer. Lots of kids run in high school, but never run a step up. In fact, highest level of fitness. Here's what's sad in America: highest level of fitness for average male is 18 years of age. Why 18?
Hmm.
They're sort of active through high school. Then when they get out of high school, that's when they start down. Average girl, highest level of fitness, age 12.
Ugh,
Age
that's
12.
horrible.
Sixth grade. Sixth grade on, their level of fitness tends to go down. And that's sort of sad. And
Yeah.
not as active as it should be.
And what
So,
you
I bet,
do is you teach an ultra marathon course in college, which I
yes,
definitely want to talk about. But sorry, you were about to say something. What were you about to say?
I don't. I have grandkids
Sorry.
now. Besides 18, I have 14, 6, and 3. Uh,
Wow.
do I hope one of them becomes a runner? Yes. Will they probably become a runner? No. Probably none of them will be runners. And see, I still think like a runner. My license plate on my truck has AT, then blank, then PCT. And then on my
Mm.
car, it has ILV number 2 RUN. And I've tried to get, I love to bike, but someone has it. So I
Uh,
need to get something about biking. But in my mind, I'm still a runner. Uh,
yeah.
but I don't think any of them will become runners. I tell my students, and I have a beginning running class and advanced running class. Advanced, they have to do a marathon or an ultra marathon. And I said, this class could change your life. And I hope you become a runner. But I said, most of you won't. So I always say, you ask me later if you're a runner or not, and I'll tell you what I think. And some of them, they take my whole class, do the races. And I say, you're still not a runner. But then some of them, I'll say, you are a runner.
Wait,
Do I
and how
hurt
do
your
you know
feelings?
what makes that distinction? Like, what does that mean exactly?
I don't. That means whether or not I can tell that they really have uh, drank the drank the caffeine, drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah. Okay.
Uh,
The
they
commitment,
just
the
yeah, they
passion.
just they want to. You don't have to
Yeah.
race. I had a student in my class several years ago. She came in. I said, "What are you doing in here?" She said, "I'm taking a class." I said, "Well, how old are you?" She said, 46. I said, "That's too old." I said, "You can't take this." She said, "No, I want to." Well, ever since that class, she's got over 10 years. She's not missed a single day in 10 years. She's a runner, and now
Yeah.
she's run a couple of ultras and a few short races, but she's a runner, and she's a runner for life. She's just committed to it, and she's got to. She's going to. She will. I hope you're there. I bet you are.
Oh, yeah. I feel like exercise, especially running, is like brushing my teeth or going to the
It's just
bathroom,
something
whatever. It's
to
just
do.
like it's something you do. It's something you have to do, and
Yeah.
not everyone
You get
understands
to do,
it.
you
My
want to do,
parents,
you
my
have to do.
sister. Yeah, I remember my sister saying something to me like when I was pregnant, and she's like, "You'll see, your priorities will change after you have kids." And I'm like, yes, things change. Like I don't feel like I needed to go as long, and I didn't want to sacrifice as much time. I was going to take a break from certain things. But if you think I'm going to stop running, you're insane. Like that's not changing. I will be a horrible person. Everyone will hate me if I don't run because I will be the most depressed, miserable person ever. That has to happen. So I completely understand. But yeah, it's just funny people who aren't runners or who don't have that same need to exercise and be active in their life. They don't understand that, you know?
No,
So
no.
anywho,
So the number of
I
people
want
that
to,
become
yeah.
real
Mm-hmm.
runners is not many, not many.
Mm.
And I can tell. I can tell most of the time people who are going to stick with the running. They're just
So
going to do it.
you have two classes then. I didn't realize you have two. So in your beginner one, what are they required to do? What kind of race? How long?
5K or longer.
Okay, got it.
So,
How
but
many how
I
many
tell you,
people do you get in these classes? Like how big are they?
the beginning is usually about 20, and the advanced is usually 12 or 13.
Okay. But you've
And I
been
try to,
teaching for 43 years. So you've introduced so many people to
yes,
running.
uh,
What has come out of that? Have you had some really interesting stories from that about people who have carried the ones who have become runners or who have kind of caught the bug with ultras or anything like, or do you teach
oh
about
yeah,
nutrition at all or talk about it? I want to hear a little bit more about kind of your starting this whole passion for running in so many students.
we on. Well, I just tell you, you want to be the best you can be. You got to think about running more, and you got to think about your body weight, and you got to think about nutrition, and you got to think about sleep, and you got to think about long term. You don't become a runner overnight. It takes a long time. Um, I it's a slow sell, uh, and I try to get them out. We'll go out and maybe do a night run. We'll maybe do a mud run. I love to have fun, and that's what I try to do in class. We'll run and walk, run and walk, run and walk, and I tell runners who come in are in pretty good shape. I said, if you're a good runner, you're not going to get in shape in this class. You're going to have to get in shape outside of class because, again, we're not going to run a lot in this class. Most will run is maybe 6 miles on a regular weekday, but on the weekends we might run more, and we will run more if you want to. But just slowly bring them in, suck them in. Uh,
And you're biking alongside them, or what are you doing? Like, because you're
yep,
actually
I'm
running in these
biking with
classes.
them.
Okay.
Yep, I'm
Okay.
biking with
Got
them.
it.
And of course, used to I'd run anywhere and everywhere, and
Sure.
then I tried to bike anywhere and everywhere, and I do somewhat. And of course, I have lots of wrecks and stuff. Not as many now as I used to, but students think that's funny, and it is crazy. But
Yeah.
yeah, I've suckered a lot of people, and I'd say suckered. No, I've changed their life. Lots of people with respect to running. Uh, there's a lot of people who are hooked.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to ask something.
You
I
look
heard
like
you.
to me
Oh.
that you're a runner. You look like to me that you're a runner. Now, it's harder for women than it is men. I think that's a tough thing. Being a mother, as well as trying to get in your running, you have to have an understanding husband. And also,
Well, he runs too. He's running the same race, so that helps.
whoa, that's really good.
That's why That's why I'm very interested in like people whose partners who do
Don't
not participate in any sport because it's so much harder to understand.
they don't.
Whereas my
They
husband
don't.
completely like we take turns because someone has to watch the
Yeah,
kids. So I'll do my
right.
long run and then he'll be with the kids and then we'll kind of take turns. So
Yep, good.
it's nice having that supportive relationship because he completely gets it. Um,
Well, I tell the guys as well as the ladies. I said, hey, when you get a boyfriend, girlfriend, you think this might be the one, come by and let me talk to him. And I'll tell you what I think. I'll tell you what I think. I'll go like this, thumbs up, or thumbs, I'm not sure, or thumbs down. And have I told a number of students that? Yes. I know one runner. One runner. Notice this. This is a runner. The one runner. I said, no. I don't think you should marry him. She did anyway.
Ooh.
He didn't. He said he understands now. Does he understand now? No.
Well, you
Was
have
that a
been
problem?
known to speak your mind. That is for sure.
Yes.
No one can
Yes.
accuse you of not speaking your mind when it
Yeah.
comes to
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. But anyway,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was just going to ask something. I've heard you say throughout this interview a couple times, and then we'll wrap things up because I know it's been about an hour. A couple things about keeping body weight down. And that I think is a bit, these days at least, a little bit more slightly controversial. Obviously, weight is important, right? I mean, you're carrying your body through space when you're running. That's something you're doing. So we can't be, you don't want to be very, very overweight or larger if you want to be competitive, if you're worried about pace, obviously, right? But for
Yeah.
people who are, I don't know, I'm just asking about messaging, I suppose, with regards to weight. And
Okay.
perhaps your belief is that you should have a lower body weight, but just in the context of, because a lot of the work I do is also with some disordered eating disorders,
Yes.
trying to promote this belief that it isn't all about body weight. It is also obviously about training and strength and power and all sorts of other things. So I'm just kind of curious about your point of view there.
I try to be very careful there. But if you're
Yeah.
talking to those who want to be their very, very best,
Yes.
it's 2 seconds per pound per mile. 2 seconds per pound per mile. Whether it's fat weight or muscle weight, doesn't matter. I've told some people who are very muscular. I've had some students in my class who are very muscular. I said, you need to lay off the weight. You need to quit weight training so much because it's so big. And they lose weight and they run faster. So I try not to talk about that too much. And you've got to be careful with respect to women as a whole, men in general, but basically women as a whole with respect to weight. I have a monitoring card where we check their heart rate. And if they want me to check their body fat with skin fold calipers, I will. But I don't weigh them. I don't talk. I just talk about weight in general.
Good.
Uh,
Okay.
and yes,
Cool.
oh yeah, and so
Okay.
I never put down the weight numbers. I don't tell them what they
Good.
should weigh.
Okay.
Just when
Good.
women get more serious, I know you
Yeah.
have to be really careful there.
Okay.
That you don't, especially with women as a whole. And then I talk about anything or everything in terms of women in the menstrual cycle. I said, you ladies in here, the thing you have to worry about, you get too skinny, you're going to have problems in your menstrual cycle.
Oh yeah.
And possibly later osteoporosis and possibly later all fractures. Got to be careful there. And I've
Yeah.
had some women, I tell them, hey, too skinny. And I've seen some women who I thought were too skinny.
Yeah.
And I've told some women that you need to eat more. You're not eating enough.
Yeah.
Your weight is getting too low because you just
Yeah.
don't want to see that happen. And
Yeah.
I'll, if I see they're serious about running and I see that their weight is getting low, I'll say, hey, are you having a normal menstrual cycle?
Yeah.
And if they're not, I said, this is not good for your long-term future. You may have some problems because of this. So yes, you got to be very careful there. But I don't emphasize running fast, running far, form. I say relax, run smooth. I think I said smooth, easy, relax. And run more. But I do tell them run more and not run faster, but run farther. I think that's the most important part. And someone turning from a jogger to a real runner is that they're running more and consistent. It's not if, it's when.
Do you coach like individual athletes or no?
Nope, don't want to.
No.
I don't want to be
just
paid.
the class.
I help a lot of people, and I've
yes, that I know.
A lot of people before there was this thing called running coaches and online coaching things. Now I don't want to do that. I want to teach students, and it's sort of like I'm supposed to charge people for me saying things I enjoy, that I like, that I'd like to help them with. I like to help people. I like to see people do well in my races.
Yeah, totally. All right, so we're gonna wrap things up with what I call my quick bites questions, and I'll let you get on your way. I'm really glad we got to do this. This was such a spontaneous interview that we threw on the books. All right, so favorite meal or snack when you're in a hurry?
Uh, I like I like those round. Oh, I can't think of the name of it.
What do they look like? Is it
They're
a
round,
cookie? Is it a what is
little
it?
thin thing. Little waffles. The waffles.
Waffle? Oh,
Stinger
the
waffles.
Stroop waffles?
Yeah,
The honey stinger
stinger
roll. Oh,
waffles.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Great.
salted caramel.
Yeah,
Salted
yeah.
caramel.
Totally.
Oh,
Uh-huh.
oh,
I think they have those at
yeah,
the aid stations this weekend. I'm definitely grabbing some of those.
you
Um,
should.
yeah.
Yes.
Favorite meal or
Uh-oh.
snack when you are not in a hurry, when you have that time to finally eat nice and slow, as you said before.
Grilled catfish or
Nice.
lobster tail.
Do you still fish or hunt or garden or do any of that stuff?
No,
No.
no. You
No.
only have time
Nothing,
for so
no,
much.
no farm life that carried over.
No, we grow a few little tomato plants and stuff, but now I live in the city, which I like that for convenience.
Mm-hmm.
But you only have so much time, and you
Yeah,
can have only
sure,
have so many passions. And so
sure.
my passion is exercising and teaching
Yeah, yeah.
and being with my
What,
family.
of course. What is your favorite thing to eat after a big event or a big training ride or run?
Grilled catfish.
Grilled
Sweet potato.
cabbage and sweet potatoes. It sounds delicious. Sounds
Yep,
delicious.
love it. Love grilled catfish. Grilled catfish,
No,
beautiful white
yum.
meat. Uh,
Yeah.
I love that.
Is that what you're getting after your long rides when you go out with your wife?
Yes, yes. I get the same thing every time. It's grilled catfish,
Nice.
sweet potato.
Okay.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's sort of like
Mm-hmm.
when I go to Subway. I get the same sandwich all the time, and Subway is the best thing in the world for bike packers because there's
Yeah,
so many Subways. They're everywhere.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you cook at all?
No,
No, no cooking.
that's for
Okay.
women. That's for women.
Oh, I
No,
disagree there.
no, no.
You're...
I do. My brother's a great cook. I'm not a cook.
I was
There's
about to ask you biggest cooking catastrophe, but if you don't cook, then I guess
no, I don't cook.
not for you. Okay.
I can cook bacon, cut and bake cookies, half baked cookies, chocolate chip
Okay.
cookies.
That counts. There you
Oh,
go.
oh,
That's
those are
good.
so good.
That's good. Very good. What is the most bizarre or exotic food you've ever tried?
Squirrel brains, I guess, because my
Oh,
dad he ate squirrel brains growing up. That was his favorite food.
did you eat that
Fried
when you were
squirrel
young?
brains. Yeah.
Wow. Was it good?
No.
No. I saw your face just there. Nope, not good.
No. No.
Do you eat eggs?
Yes. You?
How do you like them cooked?
Scrambled.
Nice. I do eat eggs, yes. What is your favorite beverage?
Diet orange.
Diet orange? Like an orange soda?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay, got it.
I'd rather drink my calories than eat my calories.
There you go. Well, that's really handy, especially when you're exercising.
Yeah.
What foods other than squirrel brains remind you of growing up? What are your comfort foods?
Uh, my mother fixed squirrel dumplings. I know
Squirrel
my
dumplings?
squirrel dumplings. Yes. Oh, great squirrel dumplings. Yeah, and
I
cornbread.
never knew people eat squirrel. That's really
Oh yeah.
interesting. Huh.
Yes. That my dad loved that. Good.
Oh, okay.
Tastes like chicken. Tastes like chicken.
Tastes like chicken. There you go.
Yeah.
What is your favorite ice cream flavor?
I think cookie dough. Cookie
Awesome.
dough. Getting the best
And
of
last
cookies.
and last question, top 3 items of gear that are most essential to your active lifestyle.
Well, balm of Gilead is probably the most important thing. Balm of
What was that?
Gilead.
Oh, it's
Balm.
like a chafing balm?
Yes.
Okay.
BALM. Balm of Gilead. And after I explain it, you'll understand why this is the most important thing for a biker and for a runner. you can, chafing is such a huge issue.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
also, if you're going a long, long time, abrasions and chafing in other areas so
Mm-hmm.
bad that if you get in a bathroom or shower or bathtub or shower, you just scream out in pain.
I've heard
Well,
the
you can.
screams from my husband.
Okay. Well, he needs to get some balm of Gilead.
Okay, I'll tell
Uh,
him.
balm of Gilead. You can have the rawest rear in the world and get in a bathtub. Put that on and get in the bathtub and not hurt it.
Okay, good stuff.
And
Anything
because
else?
that's always going to happen. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Most important
Okay.
stuff. Balm of
All right.
Gilead. I've been using that for years and years and years and years. In fact, I just ordered a new thing of it the other day.
Got it. What kind of bike do you ride?
I don't think there's any special type of bike. I have a Cannondale. It's a good one. I'm not even going to tell you how expensive. I don't, because we're going to go back to why, how much I paid for this bike. It has electronic shifting and disc brakes.
Got it.
And it's
Mhm.
Carbon fiber. It costs
Yeah.
thousands of dollars.
Oh, yeah, bikes are crazy expensive.
Oh, they
So
are. And the
expensive.
carbon fiber is electronic shifting. What's so good for you? You're not going to do so much of it so long. And
Yeah.
then the seat, I have a good seat too. So, but yeah, I hate the cost of the bike.
Yeah. Back when you were
And
running, what kind of running shoes were you running in?
well, I was sponsored for years. I can't even think of the name of it. Early brand. They
You're
shoes were
forgetting all your sponsors today.
I know it. I know. But anyway, I sponsored for
Brooks,
years.
New Balance,
No,
Asics.
you've never even heard of it.
Oh, I haven't heard of it. Okay.
Kangaroo. I sponsored
Oh,
a
no, I have
Kangaroo
not.
company.
I have not
And
heard of
Pocket.
that.
I know. I told you hadn't. And then for another 20 years, I sponsored for the longest was Montreal.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
I sponsored
Awesome.
on that Montreal strong. They're good
Awesome.
shoes. I like Hoka's. I've never really run in Hoka.
I run in Hoka's. I love them. I have
Yeah.
a pair of Hoka's for road, and then I'm currently running in a Hoka for trail, and also I don't normally buy Nike because I don't like Nike, but my husband talked me into buying a Nike Pegasus trail shoe, which is what I'm running on the 50K. It's really comfortable shoe. I do like it.
Yeah, that shoe's been around longer than any other shoe. It's been
Yeah.
around years and years and years and years.
Yeah, I really like it.
But you sort
a
of
good
have a thing against Nike. I sort of do.
Yeah, yeah. Not a fan. Not a fan. But I also I have actually 4 pairs I'm wearing right now, and then I also have a New Balance for road because I ran the Big Sur Marathon back in April. But I ran that in my what did I use? My Hokas. So I have 2 pairs of I love Hokas. They're good. They're nice and cushy.
Big Sur Marathon. Where did that start?
It starts in Big Sur and it ends in Monterey, in California.
Okay, I biked through that this summer.
Oh, you did? Oh, that's so.
Yes.
I'm in Santa Cruz, and I'm like an hour north, basically. It's so beautiful. That was such a fun event. It was my second time running it, but this year it was supposed to be a training, like kind of a training race for a 50K I was supposed to do in May, and then my kids got us like really sick. Not with COVID, but with like this insane cold, and we could not move, so we like had to cancel our race. But but Big Sur was really fun. That was a good day. Biking that must be awesome. That is so gorgeous, isn't it? Yeah,
it is
awesome,
pretty.
All right, well, I'll let you get back. I really appreciate your time.
I'll ask something from you.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Email me and let me know how you and your husband did after the race this weekend.
Oh, I will. I'll send a picture.
And think about coming sometime to run Hellgate. If you're good enough to run it.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know if I am good enough to run it. I don't know if I can I have the pain tolerance for that one. We'll see. I'll have to get some good. I do have all my winter gear, and I mean, I lived on the East Coast. I did East Coast winters pretty much like for over 20 years. So
where'd you live?
Well, I went to school at Yale, so I did my master's there too. So I was 5 years in New Haven, so it definitely got cold out there. And I was in London for about 4 years, which is where I met my husband, and then I worked for 14 years because I kind of split it up. But the last stint in New York was about 9.5 years. So definitely my share of winters, and we were ready to get back to California.
Okay.
But we'll see. I will give it. Do you do any other races, or is it just Hellgate right now?
Promiseland 50K, end of April.
That might be more my speed.
With 7,400 feet of gain.
Ooh, I still think I might still prefer that.
And the actual length is 34 miles too. And the actual distance of Hellgate is 66.6 miles.
Oh, yeah. I still would totally take the Promised Land over Hellgate, because winter midnight running does not sound appealing to me right now. Especially as, like, I heard you in another podcast, you're describing it. You're like, oh yeah, and like, you know, there's like rocks and you can't see anything, and it's nighttime, and pretty much everybody gets bloody. And I'm just, I think we'll see. I'll give you a maybe on that one.
Okay.
But thank you so much for coming on my show. It was such a joy talking to you. It's only been 7 years, and hopefully I'll see you before 7 more. So thanks again, David.
Good.
Really appreciate it.
Bye.
And that concludes our show for today. I really hope you enjoyed my chat with David Horton. I had a great time talking with him. And if you guys have any feedback or questions or anything at all, you guys know how to reach me, eatforendurance@gmail.com. You can always send a message through Instagram. I'm at eatforendurance on there. And I'd love to hear from you. As always, I really appreciate your support. Please help spread the word. This isn't a sponsored podcast. I don't get paid to do any of this. This is all for fun, and because I know my listeners enjoy these episodes. I, of course, do it because I love doing it. But if you can spread the word and rate and review me on iTunes, that is always, always so much appreciated. Or rate me anywhere where you listen to your podcast, if you listen to it on Spotify or elsewhere. Thank you all, and more episodes are coming soon, so stay tuned. Have a good one.